There's nothing quite like when two legends that you think will never face off first meet in the ring. And that held true when Muay Thai's Iron Man Rodtang squared up with the previous 3-weight K1 champion, Takeru. With such explosive knockout artists, maybe it makes sense that the fight was just over a minute long. But instead of only looking at the knockout, I want to study what led up to it. Because most of this short fight was a battle of lead foot feints from both fighters, negotiating distance, provoking defense, doling reflexes, and controlling rhythm, all with the lead foot. Rodtang looked to control the ring with the classic Muay Thai lead leg bounce, in total contrast to Takeru, who used micro steps to position his lead foot back and forth. These two different feints make sense for both of their respective styles. So to understand the fight, we're going to take a closer look at them before returning to the action. Rodtang keeps his weight level or more on the back foot before closing distance to exchange, where he becomes lead foot dominant to match his aggression. He'll often use a piece of footwork called the split step to rapidly transition from this back foot narrow stance to a wide lead foot stance. But before exchanging, he doesn't keep much weight on the lead leg, and this allows him to easily raise his knee in the classic Thai bounce, which does a number of useful things. First, it dulls the opponent's reactions to when a real kick is coming. A classic of Rodtang's and many Thais is to chamber the knee, then pause, acting as if it was a feint, and only then throw it out for real. Rodtang will add a hop-on for extra distance. Anyone who's ever played Elden Ring has had one of the bosses do this pausing trick to them, and you roll right into the attack. Another benefit to the leg chamber is that it can invoke a defensive reaction from the opponent, and since every defensive reaction, including counters, leaves new openings, Rodtang can then capitalize with a real attack off of his feint. There's also the fact it's built-in defense against leg kicks while he presses forward, but most importantly for Rodtang, it dulls the opponent's reactions whether he chambers his leg up high or just steps in quickly. The opponent will be far less reactive than they were before, and that can make all the difference. Now let's look at Takeru. He keeps his weight more forward, making it easier to immediately jump in with heavy punches. More importantly, he usually needs to swing his back leg up to execute a fast kick, since he can't just chamber it as quickly. This hip swinging motion is sometimes called a pendulum shuffle, for obvious reasons. Having his weight forward also makes it harder and less practical to use the leg chamber as a feint, so he'll mostly use small steps in and out of the edge of the opponent's range, like Evander Holyfield. And also like Holyfield, he'll counter opponents who attempt to chase him and enter no man's land at the edge of contact range. His lead foot heavy retreat is less safe for him if the opponent connects, but it can facilitate powerful counters. So those are the benefits and downsides of each style. Let's look at how it all played out. The two stood at range, trying to establish who would be the first to back down. Rodtang used lead leg taps to disguise lead and rear leg roundhouses, and Takeru relied on micro steps and hip turns to disguise roundhouses and crosses. But so far, each man was defending near flawlessly, and neither had missed a beat or bitten on a feint. Until 30 seconds in, Rodtang chambered his lead leg and Takeru jumped back. This wouldn't be a big deal if Takeru had a different game plan, but it was clear he was looking to stand toe-to-toe, and now he lost the battle of wills again. Rodtang used the new positioning to leap in, missing the first time, then immediately following up with a whipping 1-2. Takeru tried a 1-2 himself, but Rodtang pulled back and countered with a tight leg kick. The Japanese fighter's responsible rear hand frame pushed the Iron Man off balance, however, stopping him from capitalizing further. Thus far, 1 minute in, Rodtang had won the battle of wills with his feints, and been the only one to successfully connect with anything meaningful during an exchange. And since feints are based on the premise that your opponent believes your real strikes are a threat, and Rodtang had been convincing on backing up his threats, while Takeru had not, it was Takeru who began to jump at shadows, reacting to each of Rodtang's leg chambers by leaping back. Adding on another layer, Rodtang not only repositioned Takeru with his feints, he shut down Takeru's offense by feinting whenever it looked like he would come in, shutting him down before he had the chance to set up anything at all. After ceding ground and letting Rodtang get far too close, Takeru bit hard on a feint, which locked him in place, and lowering his lead hand, which left him a step behind. This was all Rodtang needed. He blasted forward into a lead hook, rear roundhouse combination, then utilized the retraction of his kick to transition into a split step, a rare and advanced piece of footwork I've personally only had one person teach me, and they were a legendary champion. Rodtang was perfectly positioned to land a leaping gazelle hook. Tough as nails, Takeru countered right back with a whirling right overhand, but the Iron Man's jaw has thus far proved uncrackable, and he's the kind of rare fighter who can take a hit without losing power or accuracy. Takeru tried to circle out of the corner, but it was too late. A final hook put him down for good. The ending of this fight was flashy and spectacular, and there's a lot more I could say about it, but it would not be the whole picture. What won this fight happened in the minute beforehand. So next time you're at the gym, go practice your feints. And as always, I'd recommend checking out One's Friday Fights on Amazon Prime for some really great action-packed bouts, just like this one. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.